This is a special edition Inside the Bubble Sic Em Podcast, keeping you in touch with Baylor men's and women's basketball in the NCAA tournaments. The Sic Em Podcast is presented by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, your friend in the car business. Now, let's go inside the bubble with your hosts, Brooke Bednarz and the voice of the Bears, John Morris.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special edition Inside the Bubble Sic Em Podcast. And Brooke, we are going to go inside the bubble in San Antonio, talk Lady Bear basketball, and who better to do that than Baylor women's coach Kim Mulkey as our guest on the Inside the Bubble Sic Em Podcast.
I cannot think of anyone better to start us off on the women's side. Coach, thank you for taking the time. Normally we would say out of your very busy schedule, but you're in the bubble, kind of on quarantine lockdown right now. So thanks for chatting with us from the hotel room.
Well, actually, I don't look forward to interviews, but I must admit that I was looking forward to this because it gave me something to do.
We say inside the bubble, and that term's getting thrown around a lot. You're living it. I mean, you did in Kansas City, and now you're doing it in San Antonio. Give us a sense of what that's like.
Well, you're right. A lot of people don't know what that means. And for example, we reported to the hotel Tuesday night, and we immediately were assigned our rooms, and everyone is in an individual room. You don't have roommates, and you're only on 2 floors. You don't have the public on your floor. You only have your 34 in your party on the 2 floors. And then you go and you COVID test. Now, there are 5 of us that in the 34 that do not have to do the COVID test because we're still within the 90-day window of when we contracted it. So we walk with them just to have something to do, and we wait for them to finish, and the entire party has to be negative before they will let us leave and go back to our hotel. And we walk actually from the hotel to the convention center where the testing is done. All of our meals are delivered to our doors. We can, in advance, choose from a menu on what we want for each meal. So that's kind of where we are now. After there are, I think, 7 negative tests in a row before we play. And you must remember, we're testing every day. So our 7 negative tests all go all the way back to the Big 12 tournament. We've been testing every day there as well. So we're going to have a lot of tests done between now and that first game. And that's what we do. Then hopefully, eventually you're going to have practice, and, we'll practice, I think, 1 time on the floor that we're going to play on. The other 2 times will be either on a court at the convention center or somewhere in the city. And that's basically our routine. We do have a room that's assigned to our team only, where we can watch film and go over scouting reports. And then we have actually 3 buses, so that when, you play your first game, we can't walk that far to the game, but you're spread out on 3 buses with 34 people. So they take the ones that have had COVID and can't get it right now, and put them around people, every other seat on a bus 6 feet apart with mask on. It's very detailed, and you always crave for downtime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure I'll ever crave for downtime again.
Right.
You talk about all of the precautions and everything, and it just sounds crazy to be doing all of that. But at this time last year, we were hearing of everything kind of coming to a halt, and you guys would have done anything in order to play that. So to be there, and to, after this entire year, to actually be at the NCAA tournament and taking these precautions to be able to get on that floor and play, how do you feel about all of that?
Well, we're certainly excited to be able to do something that last year's team and seniors didn't get the opportunity to do. we're not complaining. We've adjusted fine. It's not something that's just totally new to us because of everything we've been through for actually a year now, but the bubble is a little bit more detailed than being at home at Baylor in your own apartment.
Kim, what's it like out around the city? And I guess you probably haven't been out much, but to have that many teams there, and I know you're kind of spread out, San Antonio, San Marcos, Austin, but I can't imagine the logistics of having that many teams centralized like that.
Well, I can't tell you all the hotels that are being used, but I know like one hotel has 11 teams there. And then I think, have 8 teams here where we're staying. And then those that win and make it to like the round of Sweet 16, we will move to another hotel if we're fortunate to get to the Sweet 16. A great deal of planning is all that I could possibly tell you that's taking place. Ironically, I'll give a little shout out to Russ Bookbinder, Coach Grant Taft's son-in-law. He's a part of, I don't know what they call them here, the commission that brought the Final Four to San Antonio. So I would imagine Russ is busy along with a lot of people at the NCAA to make this happen.
You mentioned the party of 34. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. There's 34, and all 34 have to be cleared through COVID and things like that. For example, we're missing 3 in our party of 34 in Kansas City. And so to replace them with someone, and I replaced them with my grandson and his nanny, not my grandson because he's only 2, but everybody had to go through the same COVID protocol in order to be able to join us. We will have a situation here where Alex Olson, our trainer, has to leave. He's not going to miss a game, but he needs to leave for his grandmother's funeral. And so Kenny Boyd has had to go through the protocol back at Baylor right now so that he can replace him here and have the number of negative tests. So it's detailed. You have to plan ahead. You can't just make a decision last minute.
All right. The 34, give everybody, we kind of take it for granted. We know who the 34 are for the most part, but that includes, your essentials, the coaches, players, obviously, managers.
It's your players, obviously, and we were fortunate to add Chrislyn Carr and K-Mac because they're sitting out, but they're a part of our 34. And then you add all the coaches, obviously, all of the managers, trainers, strength coach, personnel that has traveled with us, doctors, and that 34 adds up quickly. The majority of my staff are single, so they don't have spouses, and even those that do have spouses are not allowed to bring their spouses and their families. So it's a very strict policy, and you're very limited. And the hard part, I think, for all of us that we don't look forward to is when we play the first and second round games, the only people allowed in the stands are those that are on our pass list. Well, who's usually on your pass list? It's your family and your friends. So when they come to a game, guys, we can only wave to them. We can't touch them. We can't hug them. We can't do anything. And that's going to be hard for a lot of us because there's a lot of children involved, and they're not going to understand why mom's not over here loving on me or dad's not over here, and that's the hard part. And we know that's going to happen Sunday because they will come to the games, but we have to keep our distance.
I know that's tough. Is there a good side of that? Maybe a silver lining in that group of 34, you and your team are probably bonding like never before.
John, that actually started this whole year. That started early in the year because of all the travel stuff. I mean, we've bussed on trips that we've never bussed to in years. And, you can cut up and laugh and talk and do things. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because in our world right now, like the trainer has to have a massive group text of 34 people on when to meet at which elevator, and let's go over and be tested. So there's a lot of joking going on in those texts, particularly from me with the girls that they never get to see that side of, because we just have time on our hands.
Do you think, obviously there's a difference in, this tournament compared to the ones that you guys have played in the past, but do you see any sort of benefit in the fact that there's no traveling? You don't have to travel from location to location. Obviously you can't host the first couple of rounds at home, but to have all of them be in one spot, do you see a benefit of that or not really?
Well, it's a benefit if you want to talk about neutral sites. I don't know that it's a benefit when you talk about fans in the stands, because if we were doing this under normal circumstances, it's been proven that you're just not going to have much of a following for a lot of teams. And that's why they went back to the first and second rounds being on the campuses of the top 16 seeds. So I guess the benefit would be a neutral site for all 64 teams.
Kim Mulkey is our guest on the special Inside the Bubble Sic Em Podcast. Baylor, the regular season and Big 12 tournament champs again this year. Coach, congratulations on 2 more big trophies this season. How has, I know you prepare for March, you get your team ready for March, and here we are. How has this season, in what ways has it prepared you for where you are right now?
None of us knew what to expect. I think last March 12th, when we deplaned on that tarmac, and basically the year was gone. There's so much that took place through the summer, and you didn't have your players on campus, and you were talking to them weekly through a Zoom call or a text message. It was really kind of weird. And yet when we first got them to campus, that was weird too, because you're usually around them all summer. So it's kind of impressive, if you want to use a word, that we responded the way we did. It's impressive that through all the things that everybody has been through, and then you add Moon and Dee Dee's injuries, you just keep on keeping on. I think that young people tend to bounce back quicker because they don't know any different. All they know is go to school, eat, drink, play basketball. And so when they got back into that routine, I think it was comfortable for them. The gym was comfortable for them. The outside stuff was not. And it will never be comfortable to test every day and to wear a mask and to take school and do things through a computer.
It's been a different year for sure. With last year being, ending like it did, you guys are still the reigning national champions from 2019, carrying that into this tournament. Is there a certain mentality that goes along with that as you go into this tournament?
Well, we have a lot of those players still on this team that experienced it. Now their roles are different. Really, when you look at this team, there's 2 players that played a significant role in that last national championship. They're all significant players, but if you look, look at minutes played, Dee Dee and Melissa Smith are the 2 that were on that floor when the buzzer sounded, and yet there's no greater feeling than winning a national championship. So the Queen and the Moon and all those players, Trinity, their time has come, and now they want to experience that feeling again. We do laugh and cut up about being the defending national champion because it seems like it's a long time ago. But the truth is, we are the defending national champion. The truth is, you just won another Big 12 championship, regular season and conference tournament. So we have a lot to be thankful for. And I keep saying it over and over. I still can't get over those 4 seniors from last year. And I remind the team this year, what if they walked in today and said it's over? Keep those 4 players in your thoughts, because that's a tough pill to swallow.
That's going to stick with you a long time, isn't it?
I don't know that I'll ever get over it, John. See, there's a very small window in a coach's career where you can financially make as much money as you can make, and you better do it. and when you have an opportunity to win national championships. And I really, excuse me, felt we had that opportunity last year, and we'll never get that back.
Speaking of one of those, we've all talked about not getting that opportunity to defend the national title was Lauren Cox. And then when you speak about the 2019, you had Kalani Brown. Looking at the game that you guys played at that point, they were 6'7", 6'4". They were the biggest bigs, across the board. And now your bigs, while they're not lacking any success of their own, Nalissa Smith is reining in the awards left and right. But Nalissa and Queen are a little smaller on the height scale than Kalani and Lauren. So how has your game changed, if any, going into this year and kind of developing as the season has gone on to this point?
Well, it's our job to evaluate their skill set. 2005, our posts were about the size of our posts this year, Sophia Young and Stephanie Blackman. You run things on the offensive end to fit their skill set and to make them successful and to make us successful. The 2 posts we have this year, they're not true back to the basket post players, but what they do is phenomenal in rebounding, athleticism, running the floor. They have become better defenders through the course of their career. Deflections, they're not just going to, bury you down there deep. They're going to do athletic things more or less. And, they are very successful in their own right. They're very good players, but you don't compare them to Kalani and LC.
Kim, Jackson State, your opening round opponent. You're the 2 seed. They're the 15th seed. You've got a little history with Jackson State. You personally have some history with them.
I know the Jackson State team we will face this year. If you look at their schedule of games, they only had 1 close game in the SWAC. You look at who they scheduled in non-conference games and who they lost to, those are pretty darn good programs that they lost to. So we know that we've got our hands full. We know that, that they're good. They wouldn't be here if they didn't run the table in the SWAC and play a brand of basketball that's very good. So we will get in the film room tonight and we will start working on Jackson State.
Final thought, you're one assistant coach short. Kaylin Rice is not with you. Congratulations to she and Jesse on the birth of baby Reeves. But how do you make up for the loss of Kaylin?
Well, fortunately for us, we've got coaches that can, pull the slack, do whatever needs to be done. We missed 2 of them at the conference tournament, and people just step up. It's just like a basketball team. When somebody goes down, the next man's up. And so we've got it all covered, and we're excited about meeting Reeves. We've not met her yet because of COVID. So hopefully when the season's over and we get back to Waco, we can touch her and hold her. And we're just excited that both mom and Kaylin and baby Reeves are doing good. They're home. And it's just funny. I'm going to be so curious to see how tall she is. Dad's about 6'8", and mom's about 5'2".
Right.
So somewhere in there's got to be a 6-foot post player, I would think, somewhere down the line.
That's great. You're starting early.
Well, between baby Reeves and baby Sage due in June, you got some future little Lady Bear recruits on the way.
Well, if I'm coaching by the time those kids are eligible to be in college, would y'all please come and just push me off the court? Because that's what, 18 years away, guys, and I'm going to enjoy watching those young babies grow up.
Well, we can't thank you enough for your time. It's been great visiting with you from inside the bubble, and we wish you all the best in the first round game against number 15 Jackson State Sunday, tomorrow, 3 p.m. on ABC.
Thank you, guys.
It's Kim Mulkey, our guest on the Inside the Bubble Sic Em Podcast. Lady Bears, the number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, and opening, as Brooke said, against Jackson State on Sunday. Thanks for being with us. Stay tuned, and more Inside the Bubble Sic Em Podcast coming in the near future.
There's only one Motor Trend Truck of the Year. It's Ram from Allen Samuels. Now, kick off the new year with remarkable savings on new Rams during the Allen Samuels Start Something New sales event. This special New Year's event is underway right now, and you can save thousands on new Rams. Ram, for your family, farm, or business, and Waco's most trusted dealer, Allen Samuels. Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Your friend in the car business.
It's a calling that's kept us free. It's a place to belong. What's the calling? It's doing a job that makes a difference. Serving your community and your country. It's part-time service where the impact is full-time. What's your calling? Air Force Reserve. AFReserve.com.
You've been listening to a special edition Inside the Bubble Sic Em Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and watch for more from Inside the Bubble with Baylor men's and women's basketball in the NCAA tournaments. The Sic Em Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics.